Welcome to the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Series. My name is Jody Maley, and I've been an entrepreneur and business owner for over 27 years now. Thanks for joining the podcast, and I can't wait to share with you tips and ideas on how to grow your heart-centered entrepreneur business. As a personality dimensions coach, I help entrepreneurs discover who they are at their core so they can have real and authentic sales conversations with their ideal clients. We all started or joined a business so that we can make an income on our terms. Whether you're just starting out in your entrepreneur journey or have been in sales for a while, the key to any business is sales and nurturing the sales relationship. So I invite you to sit back, relax, maybe even have your favorite drink and take some notes as we have fun delving in to learn more from the top 1% to 2% income earners who are making such a difference and impact for themselves and their beautiful teams. Their tips and ideas will uplift and inspire you in a heart-centered, authentic way to help lift you up, move you forwards towards your perfect dream and goal. So stay tuned to the end of each podcast as I will share a little gift from me that I know will get you inspired in your beautiful business. Hello, everyone. This is Jody Maley with the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Series, where I am doing right now for this series. I'm interviewing people who are already in the top 1% to 2% of their current companies and getting to know them a little bit better and what their journey has been. And we really want to help encourage new entrepreneurs, people coming up in their companies, people who are interested in leadership in their company and how they kind of go about doing that. And so my guest today is Cindy Gobrecht. Hopefully I pronounced your last name right.
Right.
And she was actually referred to me by one of my long-term friends. We've been friends for quite a while and been following each other's journey. And I had asked her, I'm like, hey, do you know anyone who would be a great fit for the podcast, which was our mutual friend, Christine, who was on one of my summits. And I love Christine. She's a great person. And she said, yes, you need to talk to Cindy. So I'm going to let Cindy introduce herself and what company she is with. And then we'll get a little bit into your journey and some of the ups and downs and just get to know you a little bit better. So you go ahead,
Sure.
Cindy.
So I'm Cindy Gobrecht, and I'm with Mary Kay Incorporated. I've been with them for 36 years now, and I live in Oceanside, California, which is near San Diego. I'm about 40 miles north of San Diego, and just have enjoyed my journey in Mary Kay. It's given me a very rich life, and it's been personally transformational too, as well.
Ooh, close to San Diego. I think I went there once that my dad, so I come from actually a background where my dad years ago, he's a teacher by trade, but I think he joined Amway when Amway was like pretty brand new. And they had a convention that I think was in Arizona. And then we went through San Diego and I'm like, I love that city. That was actually probably one of my most fun parts, stops was your city. So blessed that you're here.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks.
So 36 years. So in 36 years, why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, were you in a different profession before you joined Mary Kay, or was Mary Kay one of your first things? Like, yeah, let's talk a little bit about that.
So I was introduced to Mary Kay when I was in college here at UC San Diego, and I was involved in a Bible study group. So one of the gals in my Bible study group said, "My mom is doing Mary Kay. Can you have a party for her?"
Oh, I love it.
And I was a starving college student, so I was doing home parties all the time to get free stuff. And so I did the Mary Kay party and really fell in love with the products because I had adult acne at that time and really had tried all the department store brands and dermatologists, and nothing really seemed to work on my skin. And Mary Kay cleared my face up. So I was a very loyal customer from that point on. And at that time, because I was a starving college student, I would call my consultant and say, "Can I have another party?" whenever I needed to buy something. So of course she, the red flag went up like, oh, maybe she could be a consultant for me. And so immediately she took me to events. And I remember one event, this was in the late 70s. No, I'm sorry, the late 70s was when I started using Mary Kay. And a brand new consultant had a $600 party, and we have a 50% commission. So I was immediately intrigued, but I said, well, I'll do that later, maybe when I want to start a family. I didn't see it as really a career potential for me.
Right.
So then I get out of college and nobody's knocking on my door to hire me because I have a degree in linguistics. And I initially was going to be a Bible translator, but I had to wait for my husband at the time to get through his studies and all that. So that was why I had the linguistics degree. And so I ended up working at a medical billing office for a few years. Then I ended up delivering mail because my mother-in-law said, "Oh, they're doing the letter carrier test. You can make a lot of income." So I ended up becoming a letter carrier for the
Wow.
Postal Service with my degree from UC San Diego. And then and of course, all this time I was a consistent Mary Kay customer. Then we transferred up to, I transferred with the post office up to Berkeley, California from San Diego, where my husband was going to go to do his undergraduate studies. And I called somebody out of the phone book to be my Mary Kay consultant because I was still loyal. And so, of course, another flag that's somebody you should recruit, somebody that's loyal to the product. She kept inviting me to meetings. And then a couple of tragedies happened in my life. And I had a miscarriage because of the physical demands of my job as a letter carrier. And I lost my dad, and he was only 52 years old when he passed of cancer. Mm-hmm. And so I had to kind of, just reevaluate my life. I mean, here I really didn't like my job at the post office. I was working 60 hours a week at that point, delivering mail in the rain. In San Diego, it wasn't so bad, but up in Northern California, I was in the rain in one of those safari hats with a poncho.
Yeah.
And it was in Berkeley, California, so it's a little bit of a more of a rugged town. So that was a lot. It was not as pleasurable as in San Diego, and so with those two tragedies, I just felt like, life is short, and I don't want to hate what I do every day and live for my days off and live for my vacation time and then dread going back. I just couldn't see that. And my father was an entrepreneur, so he had really kind of set the example for me. And so it was just, and then my consultant again invited me to another meeting. And so at this time it was like, okay, maybe I need to do this. In fact, as I walked out the door, I said to my husband, I said, I think I'm going to do this. What do you think? And he said, well, you're very capable. You're good at everything you do. I'm sure you'll be good at that too. And so I basically had his blessing. Went to the meeting, met Carol Anton, who, when she retired, was number 2 in all of Mary Kay. So I was trained by the best. And I basically lied to her and said I had to ask my husband before I could make my decision. And I kind of slept on it. And then I woke up the next morning and it was like, do it, just do it.
So say that again. So what you told her, even though your husband had actually given you permission,
right,
or said, yeah, you're capable, go ahead. But
right.
You told her, I have to go ask my husband because you needed even another day to think on it.
Yeah, I just need to sleep on it, I guess. I guess I was always told that, sleep on any major decision.
So I kind of find that interesting because that of course is one of the biggest things that we get in our business is I have to talk to my husband, this and that. And so you were in a unique position that for how many years of your journey here that is that a real reason or is it yeah, interesting because it's like, is that a real reason? Because it wasn't my reason. My reason was still a little bit of the scaredy pants. And could I do it? Was I good enough? Right? Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, over the years, what I've learned to say is, if you were to make $100 decision at Walmart or at the grocery store, would you need your husband's permission for that? And then, of course, they say, oh, no. And then I say, well, I don't think you need his permission to do this.
Right? Not only are we getting a little bit of your story, we're getting some really great tips in here too. That's awesome.
Right.
I love it. And very authentic. And it's not, this is what I love with having these interviews with top people like yourself is just these little nuggets that kind of come out in the conversation. So there you guys, gem dropped right there. I love it. So then over the years, so with your journey with it, were you an overnight success? Everybody says this, and I really don't agree with that because I gotten to know you a little bit last time when we were introduced to each other. But tell us a little bit about when you become an entrepreneur or you're in direct sales or whatever, is it an overnight success journey or what did you find in your experience?
Well, I think because I had really excellent training, and I like to say I was too dumb to doubt. And so whatever my director told me to do, I did. And I have found this to be true as a director myself, that the consultants that move the fastest are the ones that don't overthink my advice. And when they're really ready to move up, they take every bit of advice that I give them. And the recruit that I had that went the fastest, she actually ended up becoming a national sales director before she retired. So she was in the top 300 of our 300 people out of our company. So it's like,
wow,
out of a million, I don't even know what percentage that is, but it's way up there. And it really was that. So I just figured, she's driving the pink Cadillac. I don't know. I didn't even know how to wear makeup because I was delivering mail. I wasn't really wearing makeup every day. And I'm just going to do whatever she says. And so it was the coaching was you tell people, I just started my business with Mary Kay, and as part of my training, I need to get the opinion of 15 people in the next 2 weeks of our product. Is there any reason I couldn't borrow your face for my training? And then that's really how I started. And then we really were learning together because, like I said, I didn't really know much about makeup. When I went out to do my very first party, it took me 45 minutes to do my own face. And then I thought, oh my gosh, now I've got to teach 6 people how to do this in 2 hours. So it was really trial by fire, I would say. And I just, we always say, you fake it till you make it. And so, and then again, Mary Kay had great tools. So we had a flip chart. And all I had to do.
I remember that. Do you still have something similar?
We still have a flip chart. We actually were, more progressive now. So you can actually post the presentation on your iPad or cast it to a TV or whatever. We're much sophisticated now. But
what I loved with the flip chart though is that for people who are new, because I remember my girlfriend was that's who I bought my Mary Kay through years ago. I'm like, how are you remembering all that? And she's like, oh, it's on the back. Like you flip it over and you can kind of
exactly.
Right? And I'm like,
yeah. In fact, there was a story of a gal who became a top director in Mary Kay, and when she started, she didn't speak English very well, so she would put the flip chart in front of the guests and say, "Please read."
And you know what? I think that that's another key thing with a lot of entrepreneurs too, is that you don't have to be the best at what you're doing. You don't have to know it all before you even step out and either do a presentation or an in-home party. I'm up here in the middle of BC, Canada, so I'm directly above you, probably about 30 hours north of you. And in my little community, I was like the first rep with the company I was with when I became a regional vice president with them. And I still remember my first party. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, even though my dad had come from a background of being in Amway for years, I had the thinking, I had the game thinking already, and I knew that. But I didn't know how to host a party or anything. And I just remember going and doing my first party where I actually had the manual out in front of me. And literally going, okay, it says in here, I'm supposed to do this. And then I tell everybody, and then I'm like, it says in here, I'm supposed to now do a gift. And like, I didn't bring a door prize. So I quickly made up a door prize, and it was all good. And it gave people, you know, it gave me encouragement for one thing, because I had great parties, but I also did it right from the manual. And so sometimes when you don't, like you said, don't overthink, just do and listen to someone who's better than you. And for me, I didn't have a person, but I had the manual.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I was accused of being a walking consultant's guide at one time, because I was so by the book Cindy, and yeah, actually my first party, nobody spoke English. I had one of the postal clerks at my post office offered to be my hostess, and all of her guests only spoke Spanish. So everything I said, she was interpreting in Spanish. But I still sold product that night. So it was a success regardless. And then I just continued to, I like to say I sold by accident at first.
Right. And then
fortunately the products were good enough that I could.
Absolutely. And I still, to this day, your makeup remover is still my favorite product by far, all of them. And my daughter bought me 2 of them for Christmas, and I'm almost out. Nice. I'm like, but yeah, I love the makeup remover. One of my, especially like you said, with people who have sensitive skin and issues, I love Mary Kay for that way. And I kind of say the exact same thing when I went into leadership. I fell into leadership because I'd been doing home parties for 6 months. And someone who was at one of my parties, and she'd been there a couple parties. So like you said, they leave clues. Mm-hmm. And she actually came up to me at the end of the party and was like, I want to join the company and sign up under you. And I mean, I should have known this from my dad's background and whatever, but I was really not resistant to signing up people, but I saw what that did to my parents years ago, that hustle of always having to recruit. And I was just having so much fun doing home parties. The recruiting aspect never even entered my mind. And so that was my first person asking to join, and me going, oh, I don't know how to do that. And so that's what I kind of said, same thing. Then I actually got a hold of some of my leaders who were 8 hours away from me in Vancouver. And I'm like, how do I do this? Someone's asked, I don't even know what to do. And so then that became my leadership journey. So why don't you talk a little bit about what that's been like for you, creating teams?
Yeah. And again, it was just following my director's lead. So, of course, as part of our presentation, at the end of the presentation, we do what's called an I story. And then as part of that, and that's my story, why I got into Mary Kay. And then as part of that, I would say, and Mary Kay tells us that every class, there's one person who would be a great beauty consultant. And you say to the group, now, who do you think of your friends would be the best? And then they'll recommend people. And I have recruited people that people at the table recommended. And it may have not been the person I would have chosen, because I don't see her day to day in her business attire. She's there at the party in her sweats, no makeup. I don't know that she's this powerful entrepreneur somewhere or CEO. And so it's somebody I might not have even picked. And then I've ended up recruiting them, and they've been successful in my business too. And so that's what we were trained to do. And then when I did an individual close with them, and I would say, well, let's set up a time that I could talk to you more about Mary Kay. Does it sound like something you'd like to do? And then my director would call me on Sunday nights and say, oh, how were your parties this week? How were your sales? And what interviews do you have scheduled? And I guess at that time, she didn't have a lot going on with our unit, even though she was in her Cadillac and, very successful, or because I was local to her, I don't know. But she seemed to always be available to come join me at my interviews. So she literally did, I needed 12 people to win my car. And she came to the 10 of those appointments.
So this was your first car that you earned with Mary Kay?
Yes, my first car. So I earned that within my first 10 months in the business. I'd earned my first Mary Kay car.
What?
And of course,
high five to you. That is amazing.
Oh, thanks. But she was, it was like bringing her to an event. Like we always say, for most people, and if you know the DISC, I don't know if people know that, but most people are S personality, S or C personality, which is like 80% of the population. And because they're slow to change, that kind of thing, they need 2 interviews. So you interview them and then you bring them to an event. So I used to chart that, I've interviewed, brought to an event, and then that's usually when they'd make their decision. Well, she was an event. In fact, I remember one person, we were meeting at this dim sum restaurant in San Francisco, and Carol walks in with her director suit on, her mink coat. Of course, that's when mink was politically correct.
Right?
Yeah. Not politically correct anymore. And she would come in with her mink coat, all her diamonds.
Yeah.
And it was like, who is this movie star? Right. And so, it was pretty easy to build my team with this incredible director that I was gifted with.
That's funny that you say with the DISC system, because that's actually, I'm a personality trainer. So that's actually what I do for leadership and team development, is figuring out your authentic leadership style by your color and then training that to your team. So I'm like, I got you, sister. Exactly. And it is true. Knowing what your team wants and how to develop that, and also knowing what your customers want and how to speak their language is really, really key. So I love this, by the way, you have earned over the years. How many cars have you earned?
I just picked up my 19th car, September.
I was just going to say that must be recent, because when we last spoke, you were at 18.
Yeah. Got my 19th car. And and it's just it's a tribute to Mary Kay's generosity as a company that I've won those. And I think just like we talked about training, the fact that I'm really good at retention. I'm good at retention of my customers, because if you can retain customers, you don't have to keep rebuilding your customer base. And right. The same with your team. If you can retain people, you don't have to work so hard. Yeah. And I've been of the philosophy in developing leaders in my group that if they just hang around long enough, eventually they're going to do something. Even people that have just signed up just to get their discount, eventually they're going to have a party. They're going to get a small clientele with their family or friends. And then you never know when life circumstances are to the point where they really want to step it up in their business, and they've hung around long enough. They've watched you. They've listened to you. They know you're real. You're not phony. You know. And I think it's also about one of the sayings that Carol used to say is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if your business, and this we're talking about heart leadership, if your business is really about loving people and wanting what's best for them, not trying to push them so that you can win your next goal, then they will stick around. They'll stick around and they'll open up to you and learn from you and possibly make you rich.
Exactly. And I think what you just said there too for okay, so we're close to wrapping this up here.
Okay.
A couple of key things that I do want to discuss quickly before we go. And number one that you hit on that I love and I teach and train as well is that you don't need to serve thousands of people. Like you just need to work with 60 to 80 really, people who are continued customers and give great service, especially when you're product driven like Mary Kay, where when you run out of something and have that person into a sequence of, I'm going to connect with them in 60 days from now to see what they like, what they need. And so I found that the most successful leaders also teach that too, that you don't need to go out there just to make the quick sale, but to make the friendship that person keeps coming back to you over and over. So
yeah, we use the term relationship marketing.
Yes.
So it's about building friendships.
Yeah.
That will last you a lifetime and that will pay you over and over again because you've taken the time to build the relationship. And in fact, I used to live in South Carolina. I called a customer the other day, and because I hadn't gotten in touch with her over a few months, she was worried about me. She said, "Oh, I'm so glad you called. I was going to call you. I was worried because you hadn't gotten in touch with me." And she's this elderly woman that's housebound and has a lot of health issues. And I live in California now. I met her when I was in South Carolina, and yet it's really about that relationship. And then anytime I call her because I'm having a sale, because I'm trying to win another car or whatever, she'll order whether she needs it or not. I mean, one day if I ever go to her house, she'll probably got this big cupboard full of Mary Kay. But it's just those relationships, and then that's even more important as you're developing leaders in your group, because like I trusted my director, and that is really what I attribute to my success. And so the more they trust you, the more they will take your coaching, and if they take the coaching, then they'll succeed. But I'm also not so full of myself that I think I'm the one that's going to be the key to their success, because I've always said it was the input of other leaders, Mary Kay herself, that really helped develop me as a leader. And so I try to get them to listen to audio or even connect with other leaders that are more their style, their leadership style, their communication style, somebody they can relate to, because fortunately we have a very generous community.
Right. You're a big company and there's lots of leaders that you can ask. And I remember actually that with, like I said, in my community, I was one of the first people here to join, and I was one of the first leaders. And I remember that with my group of ladies, I would say something and you can just see like they look at you like, the deer in the headlights look, I call it, where they're like, I totally don't get what you're saying. And then I would bring in a leader actually with another company, because I love women supporting women, no matter what you do. Like that's my biggest aim in life. And to get women who are in their current companies to get on stages and to be proud that they earned something, that they didn't win it, but they earned it, is my philosophy. And when I would bring in other women from other companies, even to do some training, and I swear to God, I said the exact same thing, probably 3 trainings in a row, but just the other person would say it in a different, little bit of a different way, but the exact same concept. And then all of a sudden my girls would be like, oh, and off they'd run. And I'm like, So that's why I think that community and women supporting each other is so important, because even today, over what you said, somebody is going to get their aha moment. And that's my mission in life, is to create aha moments for women, that they get it and that they can apply it either to their life or their business or to whatever dreams that they want to have and aspire to. So.
Right. I'm totally with you on that.
Right?
That it's a bigger purpose. If your purpose is making money, I don't know, do something else. But if your purpose is helping other women,
Yes.
and like Mary Kay used to say, go out not to sell cosmetics, but to help a woman feel better and look better, because when a woman looks better, she's going to feel better. And when she feels better, you'll send her back to her family a better wife, a better mother, a better member of the community. And one face at a time, you can change the world. So it's about empowering women. It's about building self-esteem. If we could build the self-esteem of every person in the world, we would have a different world, wouldn't we?
You
And
absolutely would. Mm-hmm.
so we are a mission-driven company, and I've always been a mission-driven person because of my faith, to the point that I wanted to be a missionary, right? So that's pretty mission-driven. And so I found that through Mary Kay, I could fulfill that mission. And my ultimate goal, to lead people to the Lord, and so that they could have the power of the Lord in their lives too. And that's so that you're not just building for success in this life, but you're building for eternity. And that's, you can't put a price tag on that.
You can't put a price tag on that. So just as we wrap up here again, Cindy, thank you so much for coming on here today and giving us. Now, Cindy is also going to do a bit of a training segment for you guys too. So if you want some more details on how she has been, and I think we're going to be speaking about the talk about really having your leaders come in as leaders and retention. She's going to give some retention training, which I'm going to love sharing with you guys. But when we leave today here, what is one piece of advice that you would have given yourself when you started 36 years ago that you wish you'd known today?
I don't know. I think I did pretty good.
I think you did pretty good too.
Yeah.
but what? Yeah.
I guess I guess more, maybe not in the beginning, because in the beginning I was really trusting my leadership, and I was really, just did whatever they said. But then I think at a certain point I started overthinking. And I think that it's just important to stay in faith. Just stay in faith. If you're where God wants you, don't doubt. Don't doubt your company. Don't doubt your leadership. Don't doubt any of it. Just embrace it, even if things don't make sense. Faith is not about logic. Faith is about trusting what you don't see. And so I think that may have made my journey easier. It may have made my journey larger at this point. But I think that would be the lesson of my journey that I kind of lost somewhere along the way. I started, doubting. Right. And I think it's important to stay in faith.
I love that. And I don't know if we're just getting to know each other, you and me too, but I was actually raised that my dad was actually the principal of our Christian school up here for a number of years. So I 100% agree. When God gives you a mission that's bigger than you, and that's where mine has been. Since I was 16, God had told me that I was supposed to be speaking on stages and giving women their light bulb moments. And it's pretty awesome at 16 that I got that in church. And I thought, and over the years, because now I'm 52 and a grandma and we have 6 kids, and I kind of thought, and I have been on big stages. So I have in my career been regional vice president with a few different companies, and also spoke at some women conventions and things. So I've been on some pretty big stages. But I always kind of think of that. I go back to that 16-year-old who God had said, your mission in life is to give women their aha moments. And I'm like, So this is, again, following this, we're interviewing amazing women and leaders like you who have a spiritual connection as well. That just warms my heart even more, that has been what God has told you too, to step up into leadership and to be there for your people and to follow him above all else. So I love that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Again, this women community where we all get to know each other and you go, this is so cool. So again, thank you, Cindy, for joining us today. This is the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur series. We will be posting this and we will be getting it out to Cindy as well too. And we really want you guys to take to heart what some of the heart-centered leaders in the world are actually putting forth, and just listen quietly, because just like Cindy said here, there's always those little flags that come along into our way that kind of guide us to what we should be doing. So,
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Jody.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned a lot. Each one of my guests have a special and unique spot in my heart, as they have shared what they love about their business and how they truly have grown in their entrepreneur journey. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I would love to gift to you a fun and easy quiz that you can take right now that will help you assess how you feel about the sales process in your beautiful business. Building relationships, lifting each other up so we can all gain more in our lives and our business is what is truly important to me. And my hope is that in some small way, I've been able to do that for you today. So again, this is Jody Maley with the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur series here in beautiful BC, Canada. Truly have a great and inspired rest of your day. The link to the quiz will be attached below, and please like, follow, and share this podcast if it inspired you.